Hola, bienvenidos, SPG aquí, and today we're going to make Spanish nouns easy. Spanish nouns are generally very confusing for beginners, but today I'm going to break it down to its simplest form, and you're going to walk away saying, wow, that's pretty simple. So let's get into it. Just a reminder, everything goes back to pronunciation, sound training, and cognates. If you haven't seen those videos, go check them out because it all ties in here. So let's get into it. Let's make Spanish nouns fácil. Vamos! In Spanish for beginners, nouns are often very confusing. However, we're going to make it super simple by utilizing this chart. Screenshot this chart. Print this out, keep it close, because whenever you're working with Spanish nouns, all you need to do is look at this and you'll know how they work and how to modify them. So let's get into it. We're going to start by saying a noun is a person, place, or thing, just as it is in Spanish. However, in Spanish, you need to know what the origin of the noun is, first off, before you do anything else. Because understanding the origin is going to allow you to understand what changes you need to make, because there are 4 ways to express the origin of the noun. So what do I mean by origin? The original form. Every noun begins with the word the, as in the book, as in the house. So the original form of every noun is the. And in Spanish, it happens to be expressed 4 different ways. So looking at this table, we have 2 sides. We have the left side is the singular side, and the right side is the plural side. So this side will be singular, and to make this side plural, you go to the right. It's a sliding table. Another thing to note is the letter S is equal to plural. So adding an S to words in Spanish signifies plural. Some people like to say that if you take the letter S and flip it around, it looks like a 2, which equals plural, and that could be a hack to help you. But just know that the letter S equals plural. So now we have the origin, the word the, and the word the is expressed 4 different ways in Spanish. On the singular side, we have the word el equal to the word the. We have the word la equal to the word the. Making it plural, we have el becoming los equal to the word the. We have la becoming las equal to the word the. So by adding the letter S, it becomes the plural. I've had people ask me, then if you're just adding an S, why isn't it not els? Well, els doesn't sound good, and as we said in previous videos, Spanish is meant to sound good. And vowels are fixers in Spanish, and we throw vowels almost in many places to make things flow. It's all about flow. And els doesn't flow as well as los. So if you look down at the example, we have los libros, and if I said the books, los libros, in a sentence, it would sound very good. Yo tengo los libros. Versus if you just added an S to L and said els libros and put it in context in the statement, it wouldn't sound good or flow at all. You would hear, yo tengo els libros. It's very difficult to even put together. So that's why I always tell people to remember the sound training video and to check sounds. If you hear a pause, if you hear a jolt, if you don't hear flow, it's probably wrong. So it's all about flow. It's all about what's going to sound good. So we have el libro being the book. Another thing to note is that if it begins with L, it's going to end in O. If it begins with la, it's going to end in a. El libro, la casa. So some words begin with L, some words begin with la, and if you look at the endings, you're going to see this relationship. Slide across to make it plural, and we're going to make it plural by adding the S, by changing L to los. Los libros, the books. Los libros, the books. Las casas, the houses. Las casas, the houses. I always like to note that Spanish is very pattern-based and very balance-based. There's balance of sounds. Los libros. If it's los libro, it's going to sound incomplete. Yo tengo los libros versus yo tengo los libros. It sounds better. It sounds complete. So you have to have balance. Los os, las as. So now we have the beginning original form of nouns. El libro is an example of a word beginning with L ending in O, making it plural, los libros. La, beginning with la, ending in a, las casas. So now we're going to stick to the singular side, and we're going to go from the word the to a. And this is how you modify the nouns. We're going to replace the word the, L or la, with the word a or a. But what does a actually mean? When you have a book, you have one book. When you have a house, you have one house. So what is the word one in Spanish? Most people know that the word one in Spanish is uno. So el is going to become un when you're talking about a or a book or a something. If it begins with L and ends in O, it's going to now begin with un and end with O. You might be saying, why is it not uno libro? Well, going back to sounds and how things flow and how things fit together, if you say, yo tengo uno libro, there's a lot of jumpiness happening in there. And when there's jumpiness in Spanish, Spanish likes to keep itself in check by taking away vowels at times. So when you say, yo tengo un libro, it kind of slows it down, but keeps it flowing. Yo tengo un libro. Sounds better than yo tengo uno libro. That could get lost in the sauce a little bit. So there are a lot of things that happen like that along the way in Spanish all the time, and it's all sound related. Always remember that. What I like to tell people at times is there is an imaginary O right here, but we just can't pronounce it. We cut it off. It's not there. So therefore it's un libro. So any word that begins with L, you modify by cutting off the L, making it one, un. Un libro. So now you have la casa. And this is very simple because all you're going to do is make it one house by adding the A. Una casa. So you went from the book to a book, the house to a house. We're going to make those plural. So what's plural of a? Well, plural of a is some because there's a few, more than one. And what's interesting about it is we have the letter S here, and you actually see the word uno in this word, which is pronounced as algunos or algunas. So algunos is going to go with words that begin with L or begin with los. Algunas is going to go with words that begin with la or las. And you're going to balance it off on the end, just like you did with los libros, las casas, and it's going to become algunos libros, some books, or algunas casas. Yo tengo algunos libros. Sounds very good and flowy in a statement. Everything fits. Everything balances out. Algunos libros. Yo tengo algunas casas en Miami. Flows and fits. Everything is balanced out. So when you go to this paper or you go to this screen, wherever you have it, you have the origin. And the origin is the word the. There are 4 ways to express the, but once you know them, then you may move down either side to modify them. Everything is uniform. If it begins with L, it's going to end in O. If it begins with la, it's going to end in a. If you want to go from the to a, you're going to chop off the word L or la, and you're going to have a. Un libro. Una casa. You want to go plural? El libro becomes los libros. La casa becomes las casas. You want to go plural? A few houses, some books. Is going to become some, which is algunos or algunas, depending upon los or las, and algunos libros would be some books. Algunas casas would be some houses. So you could take this and you can apply this across the board with nouns in their most basic form. Note the disclaimer at the bottom. There are exceptions to every rule. However, this is the most basic breakdown for now. That is very true. You might run into problems where you see words that begin with L and end in an A, or words that begin with la and end in an O. We're not going to worry about those right now. We're going to have another video that is a little bit more advanced, but it's going to make perfect sense once we get through this video and we get to that one. How sounds, how pronunciation, and everything fits. And once you start to play with this a little bit more and understand how sound impacts the language, those exceptions, those wacky rules that are coming with nouns will make more sense. Let's practice and let's make these nouns plural. So we have the word el refresco, which is the soda, the soft drink, or the drink, whichever way you want to interpret it. We have la guitarra, which is the guitar. We have el perro, which is the dog. And we have la ventana, which is the window. So now we want to make these plural. Going with what we know about the chart, we have el becoming los, and having os on the other end. So let's make that happen here. How would you make el refresco plural? For 2, 3, and 4, I'll give you 10 seconds for each, but I'm going to throw out this answer right now. El refresco becomes los refrescos. Take a look at it. And let's go back to the rule. El begins with L, ends in O, makes it plural, begins with los, ends in os. Does it fit? It absolutely does. Los refrescos. We went from the drink to the drinks. So now I'm going to give you 10 seconds for each of these. And I want you to go back, take a look at the chart, follow the rule, make the connection, and tell me how to make the guitar, the guitars, plural. La guitarra. 10 seconds. All right, I hope you have this answer. Las guitarras. It has to be las guitarras because if you go back here, we have la guitarra becoming las guitarras. You can literally plug it in just like that. And it's balanced out. We added an S. Try el perro. We have the dog. Make it the dogs. 10 seconds. Was this your answer? Los perros? It should be los perros. Let's plug it in and let's see if it works. El perro, los perros. It works, everybody. And the last one, la ventana. 10 seconds. Y la respuesta es las ventanas. Going back, plugging it in. One more time. La ventana, las ventanas. El refresco, los refrescos. La guitarra, las guitarras. El perro, los perros. La ventana, las ventanas. Make these nouns go from the to a. I'm going to ask you to go back, use the chart on the singular side, and follow the rules to drop L or la and make it go from the to a. So, 10 seconds, El refresco. Go from the drink to a drink. 10 seconds. I hope you answered un refresco, un refresco, un refresco. It's not uno refresco, it's un refresco, but we can't forget that there's an imaginary O here. Un refresco. La guitarra, 10 seconds. Y la respuesta es una guitarra, una guitarra. La guitarra becomes una guitarra. El perro, take it from the dog to a dog. 10 seconds. I hope you got un perro. El perro becomes un perro. La ventana, 10 seconds. Y la respuesta, una ventana, una ventana, una ventana. Let's go back. Un refresco came from el refresco. Una guitarra came from la guitarra. Un perro came from el perro. Una ventana came from la ventana. You're on your own for this. Go to the right side. Go from the to a, slide right, and now you have some. Algunos, algunas. Make the connection. That's all I'm going to say. Not going to help you anymore until we are done. Here we go. 10 seconds. El refresco. Make it some. El refresco. The drink. Make it some drinks. Does it look like this? Algunos refrescos. Algunos refrescos. Algunos refrescos. That's how it should be. Balanced out on both sides. La guitarra. I want some guitars. I don't want just one. Tell me. 10 seconds. Y la respuesta es algunas guitarras. Very balanced. Algunas guitarras. You can trace it all the way back to la guitarra. El perro. I don't want the dog. I want some dogs. 10 seconds. Y la respuesta es algunos perros. Algunos perros. Algunos perros. You can trace it all the way back to el perro. And finally, la ventana. I want to ask with some windows. Ready? 10 seconds. Y la respuesta finalmente es algunas ventanas. Algunas ventanas, algunas ventanas. You can trace it all the way back to la ventana. Here are some other notable modifications that a lot of people ask about off the bat. So we have the word muchos or muchas for many. And if you think about cognates and what I've always mentioned about cognates, mucho or much kind of looks like much. So when there's much of things, there are many or a lot of things. So you could absolutely get rid of el, la, los, or las and utilize muchos or muchas to talk about many or a lot of items. You could also use a number, but you have to be very careful with numbers because numbers are singular and plural. And you're going to see what I mean by that in these examples. So we have el refresco, which is the drink, the soft drink, the soda, whichever way you want to interpret it. And if you have many drinks, you would have muchos refrescos. Remember, it's always balanced. It started with el refresco, went to los refrescos, to un refresco, to algunos refrescos, now to muchos refrescos. So there's like an evolution, and that's why I say you have to go to the origin always, which is el or la. So muchos refrescos. But if you wanted a drink, or you want one drink, it's un refresco, just like we did before. Two drinks would make it plural. Dos refrescos. We have la guitarra. And now we have many guitars. Muchas guitarras. Notice nothing is out of suit. La guitarra becomes las guitarras, becomes algunas guitarras, becomes muchas guitarras, becomes tres guitarras. But if it was one guitar, it would be una guitarra. Remember, it means one. El perro, muchos perros. Just like it was el perro, los perros, un perro, algunos perros, muchos perros. Now we have cinco perros, un perro, one dog. And then finally, la ventana, muchas ventanas, many windows. So this, everybody, goes all the way back to this very simple form. Once you understand it, it's very easy to break down. And once you play with it and utilize nouns in context, you're going to see what I mean by sound training and how it's all meant to flow and how it's all meant to fit in a statement. And once you get that, notable exceptions moving forward and very bizarre changes and exceptions to rules will be very understandable when you get there. There you have it, everybody. I hope this lesson made Spanish nouns easier for you. I also hope it lets you understand how pronunciation and sound training impacts everything within the language. If you need more time and if you need more time to process this stuff, go back, watch the video again. That's what it's here for. I don't expect you to get this on the first try, but if you watch it again and again and try to follow the tutorial, you will find this is very, very simple. I hope this video helped. Send me to a friend, subscribe, follow. Remember, it's all in the name. Spanish Pocket Guru, Spanish coach in your pocket at all times. Ciao.